Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Global Communication 2. This is the makeup lecture for section 8. Right now, it's the festival day, so we don't have our regular class. So instead, I'm making this makeup lecture for you. This was supposed to be a conversation-based class where we looked at some questions related to advertising and Generation Z. But because we're doing this online, what I've decided to do, I've decided to do two things. First of all, I would like you to take a look at a few questions that I'm going to show you, and then choose two of those questions, and then answer them on Cyber Campus. I've opened up something on the discussion part of Cyber Campus. So click on discussion, and you'll see I've got a list of questions there. I'd like you to choose two of the questions and then answer each of them in about 4 or 5 sentences. If you do that, you'll get participation points for today's class. Beyond that, I'd like to talk about one of the most common writing skills that students have trouble with, and that is how to write an effective email. I'll talk about how to write an effective email for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then I will give you your second homework assignment, your second writing assignment. That is, it's worth 5 points, and I would like you to upload it to assignments on Cyber Campus by the beginning of our next class. Okay, so with that in mind, let's get started. So I will quickly just bring this up. So these actually are the questions that I would like you to take a look at and answer. So I put here, choose two of the following questions and answer them in 4 to 5 sentences each. If you would like to write more, that's okay too. Oh yeah, by all means, write as much as you want. I'll read it, just like I like listening to your conversations in class. By answering 2 questions, you will receive participation points for this class. So the first question is, according to the article, Generation Z is quite distinct from other generations. Do you agree? I'd like to know what you think. Is Generation Z very distinct from the previous generation? Or do you think that your generation actually is quite similar to your parents' generation, and the differences in the way you think and the way you live are quite superficial? I'd be interested to hear your opinion. Question number 2, quote, the world is changing more in 10 years now than it used to change in 100 years. This is another quote from the article. Do you think this statement is accurate? Do you think that the world is changing more in 10 years now than it used to change in 100 years? If you think, for example, 500 years ago, so the year 1522, and then 100 years later in 1622, there probably wasn't that much difference in terms of how people, in terms of the technology that they had, in terms of their lifestyle, in terms of the education that people would get, the number of people that would get educated, life expectancy. You could make the argument that nowadays technology and the way people think is changing so fast that really we are changing more in 10 years than people used to change in 100 years. Or you might want to disagree with this assessment and say that although society is changing, it really doesn't change that much. And to compare 100 years to 10 years is not really an accurate statement. Once again, I'd like to hear what you think. Number 3, do companies have an obligation to promote social good? Is that actually an obligation? Do you think companies should have to do something to promote some kind of social or, yeah, let's stick with the social, some kind of social good, like promote women's rights or minority rights or take up some kind of cause? And speaking of which, for number 4, Do you think companies are sincere when they include a social justice message in their commercials? I've included a YouTube link here to a Gillette commercial. This premiered during the Super Bowl in the United States, which is a really important football game. It's about $7 million for a 30-second commercial. If you want to have your commercial broadcast during the Super Bowl, it's very, very expensive. This commercial is about 2 minutes. So you're probably looking at about, I don't know, $25 million or something that the company paid to have this commercial broadcast that time. Do you think that the company is sincere? Do you think that they really care about the issue? Or is this just a marketing strategy? It takes a look at the Me Too movement and makes a few statements. I'd also be interested to know if you think that the sales for the company's products increased or decreased after the commercial was broadcast. Number 5, what is important for you when you buy something? Do you care about the brand? Do you care about the country of origin? Do you care about the social responsibility of the company, high value, low cost? Or do you care about something else? Now, it's up to you what you might want to use a particular product as an example, like coffee. Like when you buy coffee, do you care about the brand? Or do you care about the country of origin, where the coffee beans come from? Do you care about the social responsibility of the company? For example, does the company make sure that the coffee bean farmers get paid a decent price for their beans? Fair trade beans, they're called. Or is there something else that you might just think of as more important, like the convenience of the location of the coffee shop, or the taste of the coffee, or the variety of drinks on the menu, something like that. Or number 6, make your own question regarding advertising in Generation Z and then answer it. If you don't think my questions are very interesting and you have a question that you would like to discuss, feel free to write it down and then tell me what you think. Like I said, you've got until, I think I put it up, until Tuesday night at 11:59 p.m. in order to make a comment, or sorry, to answer 2 of these questions and then post them on the discussion forum on Cyber Campus. So I look forward to seeing and reading your statements and your comments and your ideas for these 2 questions. Okie dokie. So that's the participation point, the participation aspect of this class. Answer 2 of those questions in 4 or 5 sentences each, and then I'll check them, and then you will get participation points for this makeup class. Remember, participation is 15% of the course grade. You need to get 3% 5 times, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. This could be one of those 5 times. Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen for a moment. All right. Oh, by the way, you can see without the mask, my beard has been puffing out. Yeah, my plan is to grow this until Christmas and see if it drives everybody crazy. All right, so let's move on to the next part. Here we go. No, let's click out of that. I'm now going to go on to a lecture which I think is very useful for students, because I often get emails from students or prospective students, and quite often these emails have problems. They have problems with their subject line. They have problems with their introductions. They have problems with the contents of the email. They have problems sometimes even with their email address. So I think I'll spend about 15 or 20 minutes talking about how you can improve your email when you're sending an email to a professor. These skills are also transferable. I mean, if you know how to write a good email, this is going to help you later on if you're applying for a job, if you ever have to write any kind of formal or business-centered email. All of these ideas are applicable. Okay, so let's bring this up. Okay, here we go. All right. So writing skills, emails. Today I'm going to talk to you about some basic principles that I want you to remember, what to write in an email and how to write it, and importantly, what to avoid. So there are some common reasons for people to email a professor. During the semester, I get quite a few emails, and I know my coworkers do as well. Sometimes students want to address a class-related issue. Maybe they're having trouble in the class. Maybe they're having trouble with an assignment, or there's something they want to talk to me about. Other times, students want to request a letter of recommendation, or perhaps permission to miss a class. In their major courses, they might want to ask about research opportunities or other academic opportunities. They might also want to clarify information that's not in the syllabus. Maybe they have a question about the course and they've looked through the syllabus, but they couldn't find the answer. Also, once in a while, once in a very blue moon, students will just like to tell me thank you for the hard work that I've done. However, it's quite common for professors to get quite frustrated with some of the emails that they receive from students. Sometimes we look at the email and the student did not put their name in the email, and their email address does not actually have a name attached to it. Sometimes they don't tell us what class they're in or what section that they are in. Remember, I do have about 120 students, so it's hard to remember everyone's name. Other times students don't get to the point quickly and they don't say exactly what they need or what they want. Other times it seems like they've used some kind of Google Translate or Naver Translate, and it's hard to understand what they're trying to say. Other times the tone is too informal. And this is very important, especially if you do business emails or professional emails later in your life. It's important to know what words and terms you should not use when you are writing a formal email. Okay, so first I'll talk a little bit about your email address, a couple of do's and don'ts, and then I will look at the structure for an email, the subject line, salutation, title and name, the opening or nicety, the self-introduction, the body, the closing or sign-off, putting it all together, and the follow-up, what to do if your professor does not actually respond to your email. So first things first, your email address. If you're in university, it's probably best if you just use your school email. But if you use just a personal email, that's okay. But make sure that your name or part of your name is included. The closer your email address is to your real name, the better. If your email is something like funkygirlyeah@naver.com or QKRCJFTN2001 that is not acceptable, especially when you're looking for a job. I'd like to tell you that it doesn't matter. People will look at your resume, not your email address. But the fact is, when you're looking for a job, it's another human being that's going to open your email. And sometimes really small things like an unprofessional sounding email address are the things that will turn off a potential employer and make them think that they don't want to even look at your resume or give you a job interview. Let's say, for example, funkygirlyeah@naver.com. If she sent her resume using this email address to a company, they might think to themselves, would this person use that same email address if we asked them to contact one of our customers? Because our customers would certainly not enjoy receiving an email from someone with an unprofessional sounding email address. It's very small, but these are things that can get you in trouble. If you're going to apply to an international company, another reason why you want your name, your English name included, is because if you have an email address like QKRCJFTN, this just looks like random letters. It doesn't look like anything. Now, for Korean students, they probably look at that and then they're like, oh, this person is just using the keys that would spell out their name in Hangul. And if you've checked your keyboard, you've probably noticed that QKRCJFTN, that spells out Pak Chul-soo. However, when it's written like this, it just looks unreadable, which is a small thing, but it can be that small thing that prevents you from getting a job interview. It can also frustrate your professor. So try and keep your email address as formal sounding as possible. This is especially true when you're looking for a job. Not so important when you're sending an email to a professor, but hey, everything helps, right? Okay, next, if you're going to ask a question to your professor, please make sure that the information you're looking for is not in the syllabus. Few things are more frustrating for a professor than getting asked questions and the answer is in the syllabus, because you think to yourself, well, then the student didn't read the syllabus. That reflects very poorly on the student. By the way, you can actually buy t-shirts that say it's in the syllabus. And this is because it's quite common for students to ask questions when the answer is in the syllabus, but they didn't check. Do your due diligence and check the syllabus. This is especially true if you're asking a very common question at the beginning of the course, like, Professor, what textbook are we using in the course? Professor, what are your office hours? These are things that you will commonly find in the syllabus. So check first. Okay, so let's take a look at how to write an email. You've got a good email address. You want to send an email to your professor. Before you write the email itself, you have to write something in the subject line at the top. Don't forget to write a subject line. It's possible. Keep it short. Keep the most important words at the beginning. Be clear. Use keywords so that we can easily see what you're talking about. And don't write a very long subject line. Put the story or your question actually in the email. Your subject line should be quite short. Like, here are some things you shouldn't say. I need your help. Okay, that sounds like a text message, not a subject line. Do you have a minute? Same problem. Yeah, if you just put and then nothing else, that sounds like spam. Also, if you are asking a professor about an issue for the first time, you cannot use because means responding to. Okay, next, I have a question about the feedback on the assignment from last month. That's information you should put in the email. The actual subject line of your email should be shorter. Hey, prof, I'm going to miss this Thursday's class, okay? Too informal. Okay, so here's what you could write. Registration request for, and then the course ID. Letter of recommendation request. Request for assignment deadline extension. Medical certificate for missed class or documentation. Request for permission to miss class. 5 or 6 words, and each word is important. There's some kind of keyword. Registration, deadline, documentation, permission. Then part 2. Now we actually go into the email itself. You want to say hi, but you shouldn't say hi. Hi would be too informal, too casual. Use dear as the salutation. You know, dear Mr. Barnard, something like that. You could use professor or doctor or whatever the person's preferred title is. Check the syllabus and they might actually just have their name there. However, the person is addressed in the syllabus, probably take that and put that in the email. If your professor is a woman, never use Miss, Ms, or Mrs, because these are terms which denote marital status, and In a professional email, you don't want to make a reference to somebody as if they're married or unmarried. It's not important. Keep it professional. Avoid any specific references to gender and marital status, definitely. Also, be sure to finish the salutation with the person's family name. Don't use the person's first name. Especially don't use the short form of their name. And always double check the spelling, because nothing is more insulting than receiving an email from somebody who misspells your name. People get touchy about things like that. So here are some mistakes to avoid. Hi, or hello, professor, with an exclamation mark. You don't need an exclamation mark. Hi, Mr. Barnard. Hi is a little bit too informal. Dear Professor Bernard. Yeah, if you really want to make a professor angry, misspell their name. Dear Professor Steve. Yeah, you can't use the first name. Dear Stephen Professor. No. Or Dear Barnard Professor. No, the order's wrong there. Salutation, title, family name. Possibly the worst one, however, is Dear Professor. And that's because you didn't include any name. And if I receive an email where the student simply wrote, hello, professor, or dear professor, it sounds like the person has copied and pasted the text and they've sent it to 20 different professors, and I'm just one of 20 professors they sent it to. You have to put in a name. Okay, next, salutation, title, and name examples. So yeah, Dear Mr. Barnard, Dear Professor Kim, Dear Professor Pakmi's son, or Dear Dr. Lee. Dear plus title plus family name, and the given name is optional. Okay, after that, now it's time to say something nice before you get down to business. Like, I hope you're enjoying the weather today, or I hope you had a relaxing weekend. It doesn't really matter so much what you say, it's just standard etiquette and polite to say something. Okay, now introduce yourself. You could introduce yourself with your name, but that's optional. You will put your name at the end of the email, so you don't have to repeat yourself. But it is a very good idea to write down the course, the section that you're taking, and the time of the class. This is also a very good idea if you're sending me a message on Sagang Toktok. When I get your first message, I don't get your class or your section. It just has your name. If it's a private message, it just has the student's name. So I don't know necessarily what section the student is from. If you have a very common name, and sometimes I have 3 students in different classes and they share the same name, I don't know which one you are. So please tell me the course and the section that you're taking. Also tell me the time of the class. The more information you give, the better. Like, my name is Kim Jung-mi, and I'm taking your Global Communication 2, Section 3 class on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 o'clock to 10:30. Or if you don't want to write your name at the beginning, you don't have to. Just say, Dear Mr. Bernard, I'm in your Global Communication 1 or 2 Section 5 class on Wednesdays and Fridays from 12 o'clock to 1:15. Do that, and I'll probably remember who you are. And if I can't remember exactly, I can always check online, because now you've given me all the information that I need. Now we move into the body of the email. Let's get down to business. Keep it short. If you are asking about a specific date or there's a time that's important, include that in the body. Don't write new sentences on, or a new sentence on a new line. Just write short paragraphs. Try not to give any excuses or make demands, because that can really sound bad. Also, avoid any inappropriate personal information. The professor doesn't need to know all the details about your life. We just need to know what school-related issue you need help with. And then finally, before you send the email, it's a good idea to read it and then imagine it from your professor's perspective, When your professor reads this email, will they understand it? Do you give enough context? Will they understand what you're saying? Is it clearly worded? So here are some things to avoid: digressions, idioms and slang, an informal tone. You don't want to sound too informal. This is very important, especially after university, if you're sending professional emails. Making demands or excuses, contractions and abbreviations. I really don't care if you use contractions and abbreviations. That doesn't bother me at all. But in the future, if you're writing a professional email or writing a cover letter or resume, it's very important to keep it as formal as possible. So writing do not rather than don't is an important thing. Also emojis and any vocabulary or grammar that you're not sure about. It's not a good time to test out a new expression or new grammar form that you learned. Stick with the vocabulary and the grammar that you know, and then it'll be much easier for your professor to understand. So here are a couple of examples of email mistakes. Would it be possible to have an extension on this assignment? My mother's birthday is on Saturday, and I'm planning a surprise birthday for her. There's so much left to do. Trying to choose a good present for her is such a nightmare. She is so hard to please. Could I have an extra 2 days to complete the paper? That's too wordy. It's too long and it's got too much unnecessary personal information. It would mean the world to me if you could write a letter of recommendation for me. Really? Don't use expressions and idioms like it would mean the world to me, or any kind of slang. I'm going to be late to class this Thursday. Don't use wanna or gonna. It's really too informal. Or please let me know if this is okay. But, shortening please to PLS or PLZ. Please give me more time to finish the assignment. I'm so busy with homework in other classes. If you want to offend a professor, tell them that homework from another course is more important than homework in your course. It's not a good idea. Here are some concise examples. Dear Mr. Bernard, I was wondering if we could set up an appointment to discuss my grade on assignment 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5. Please let me know if you're able to meet next week. I have to miss class this Thursday due to a physical exam. This is particularly geared towards the male students who might need to do a physical exam before their military service. If I provide documentation, could I be officially excused from class that day? I will be unable to complete assignment 4 by the due date. Would it be possible to receive an extension? That's all you need to say. Okay, and then the closing or sign off. This is when you say goodbye. Thank them for their time, and then just say sincerely, best regards, or something similar, followed by your name. So thank you for your time and have a great day. Sincerely, Charsu Lee. And there you go. That's the end of your email. So here is how you would put all of this together in a clear, concrete, and concise email to a professor. So the subject line would read, permission to miss class, Friday, October the 25th. Okay, I know exactly what you want, right from the subject line. Great. Dear Professor Lee, I hope you're doing well. That's nice. I am in your AOAF 13 class on Fridays from 12 o'clock to 1:15. I have to miss class this Friday due to a doctor's appointment. Unfortunately, it cannot be rescheduled. If I provide documentation, may I be excused from attending this Friday's class? Thank you for taking the time to read and respond to my request. Sincerely, Young-hee Park, 2022, 1234. Okay, in that case, the person put their name and student number at the end of the email. All right. Here's another example of a good email. Dear Dr. Toswell, my name is Jez DA, and I'm in section 1 of your Old English course on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock. After looking over the syllabus last night, they looked over the syllabus, I noticed that the deadline for our final essay is listed as March 7th, which is a Monday. However, in class, the deadline was noted as being Thursday, March 10th. I don't mean to bother you, but I wanted to verify the correct deadline so that I can appropriately organize my schedule and turn in my assignment on time. Thank you so much for your time and patience. Best regards, Jez DA. This is really good because it seems that the student has uncovered a discrepancy between what it says in the syllabus and what the professor said in class. Well, this is sometimes professors do make mistakes, and in this case, the student has very politely asked for clarification. Sometimes, however, professors don't reply to their email. You'll send them an email and then a few days pass and they haven't answered. Sometimes this happens because the professor is simply busy and they have not yet had a chance to respond to your email. Sometimes it's because the professor has forgotten, they read it and then it slipped their mind. If a few days pass and you haven't received word yet, you could mention it to the professor in class, or you could send them another email, but just make sure you word it politely. Not a good idea to say, why are you ignoring my email? Try and say it nicely. Remember, professors are human. Sometimes they forget to. Okay, now here's an example of how not to write an email. If you write an email that resembles this in any way, you could be in for some serious trouble. Okay, so the subject line just says missing class, and then the email address is cartmanrules99@yahoo.com. Yeah, that's a very bad email address. Hey, not even dear professor, but just hey. Hey, I'm already in a bad mood. Hey, I'm in your class this semester, but I have missed the first 4 days due to some unexpected problem. They misspelled due to some unexpected problems with work and family. I would like to make up the work if you can send me the syllabus and all the handouts. Talk about making demands. Can you send me the syllabus? Make sure you send all the handouts too. Please remind PLZ, please remind me if I have missed any important info. Will we be needing the book this semester? Because I don't have a lot of money right now. LOL. Later, Sunny. Okay, this email is a bit of an exaggeration, but it makes a point. If you have missed a few classes, or if your assignment is very late, you want to get on your professor's good side. You want to be as polite as possible, because professors can sometimes be open-minded. This is especially true if you are close to an FA. If you send an impolitely worded email, there's a chance that you could fail the course because the professor will not even consider giving you a second chance. If I received an email like this from a student, I probably would not give them a second chance because they don't deserve it. If you need help and you haven't done a good job in the course for some reason, you need to be extra polite. It could be your last chance. Okay, I'm now just about at the end of this lecture. So this is what I would like to give you for your assignment number 2. This is an email assignment, but you don't have to send me an email. Let me just state that again. Do not send me an email. Excuse me. This email assignment, you're going to be using MS Word for, Microsoft Word, and then uploading to Cyber Campus. So you'll choose a situation from the list and then write a mock email to me that follows the guidelines from this lecture. Please look carefully for any mistakes or things that could be changed to make the email more effective, and then upload to Cyber Campus before the beginning of our next class. Don't forget, when you title the file, it should be your student name plus your student number plus assignment number 2. And I'll show you what that file looks like in just a moment. By the way, if you are interested in reading up a little bit more about how to email your professor, this is something which is discussed extensively online, and there are many websites that have information, some of which I've paraphrased for this presentation. So if you'd like some more information, feel free to click on the link and get some more detail. Okay. And now I think it's time for me to just very, very quickly show you what your homework is going to look like. So here we are writing emails, writing an email assignment. Okay. Here we go. Okay. All right. So when you go to Cyber Campus, this is what it looks like. Global Communication 2, Assignment 2, writing an email to a professor. Writing an email to a professor is fairly common, but it can be challenging. So check for these possible mistakes: grammar, vocabulary, tone, length, clarity. Here are 6 possible reasons why you might want to email a professor. You have to miss class for some reason. You cannot complete an assignment on time. You need to meet the professor and get their signature. You would like a letter of recommendation. You want to clarify a date or deadline that's not in the syllabus. Or maybe there's some other situation, and whatever that situation is, that's fine. What I want you to do is write a subject in the subject line. Remember to follow the rules that I gave you, and then write an email here in the box. So don't send me a real email. Just use this file and then upload this file to Cyber Campus. Please do this before the beginning of our next class. And yeah, then we're going to go on to something else. By the way, I think I forgot to mention, I would like you to do exercises B, C, D, and E. B, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. This is on pages 37 through 39. This is a quick review, I guess, from the article that we did on the differences between generation, oh, hold on, I'm not getting the screen there, Generation Z and how companies like to advertise to them. Hold on here, why is this not coming up? Okay, now let's see whether we get this up now. Sorry for that. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, reading questions. What do you think? That. Oh, by the way, you don't need to watch this video. You don't need to watch the video. I think I'll skip that for now. But please complete exercises B, C, D, and E on pages 37 through 39. And yeah, you don't have to watch this video. I think we'll skip that. Just do B, C, D, and E on pages 37 to 39, and we'll check that at the beginning of class next Wednesday. I hope you enjoy the festival, and I hope this lecture has been informative for you. I hope you found some value in it, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week in class. Okay, bye-bye.